You know, for decades, the whole idea of medicine that's tailored specifically to your unique genetic code, well, it's always felt like something straight out of science fiction. But we are right at a turning point, and I mean right now. Let's dive into this, because 2026 is shaping up to be the year where that promise finally becomes our reality, all thanks to this incredible partnership between artificial intelligence and genomics.
So here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll look back at that decades-old promise and the massive problem that held it back for so long. Then, we're going to get into the new engine of health, the AI and hardware making it all possible. After that, we'll see what medicine actually looks like when it's totally reimagined. We'll also tackle the absolutely crucial issue of trust in AI. And finally, we'll bring it all together to really understand why this is the 2026 healthcare revolution.
All right, so let's start with a dream that's been around for a very long time. I mean, think about it. Most of the medicine we use today is kind of one-size-fits-all, right? You and I could have the same condition, and we'd probably get the same drug at the same dose. But the goal, the real dream, has always been for something way more ambitious, something called 5P medicine. And this, right here, is the ultimate destination. We want medicine that is predictive, telling us our risks before they happen. Preventative, so we can stop illness before it even starts. Personalized, so it's tailored to our unique biology. Participatory, meaning we are active partners in our own care. And it learns from population-based data to get smarter for everyone. I mean, it's a beautiful vision, isn't it? But for decades, one enormous problem stood in the way.
This, right here, this number is the bottleneck. For years, scientists would sequence the person's entire DNA, and they'd be left staring at this huge pile of question marks. A staggering 40%, nearly half, of all the genetic variations they found fell into this murky category, variants of uncertain significance. They knew something was different, but they had absolutely no idea what it meant for your health.
So here's the bottom line. You just can't personalize medicine based on a blueprint that you can't even read properly. This massive library of unsolved genetic mysteries, it was like a giant wall. And for a long time, it made that whole dream of 5P medicine feel distant, maybe even impossible. Until now.
So, the big question is, how did we finally break through that wall? Well, that brings us to the exciting part, the new engine of health. We're talking about this incredible combination of brilliant AI models and supercharged hardware that is at last making sense of all that ridiculously complex data.
And you know, it's not just one magic AI bullet. Different problems need different tools. You've got things like CNNs, which are like pattern spotting detectives for images. They can pick up on subtle facial features that might hint at a genetic syndrome. Then you have transformer models like BERT. Think of them as master librarians who can read through a decade of messy, unstructured doctor's notes and actually understand the context. And then there are generative models like GPT, which can take all that knowledge and create something brand new, like a clear, easy-to-read report for a doctor, or even design a new drug molecule from scratch.
But here's the thing. You can have the smartest software in the world, but it's totally useless if you don't have the horsepower to actually run it. These incredibly sophisticated models demand an equally powerful engine.
And this just perfectly illustrates the incredible leap we've taken. Just look at these numbers from NVIDIA's Parabricks platform. A standard analysis on the H100 GPU, which was already insanely fast, took a little over 14 minutes. Now, on the new Blackwell architecture, that time is nearly cut in half, down to just over 8 minutes. That's a huge jump.
But get this, when you strain 4 of these new top-tier GPUs together, the time it takes to do a whole germline analysis drops to under 8 minutes. Think about that. A process that used to take days, which then came down to hours, is now done in the time it takes you to go grab a cup of coffee. That kind of speed changes absolutely everything.
So now that we have this incredible new engine of AI and hardware, what does medicine actually look like? How is it being totally reimagined, from the research lab all the way down to your local clinic?
Okay, so the new workflow is just so much more elegant and powerful. First, you have rapid sequencing, getting that raw DNA data faster than ever. Then, stage 2, the AI gets to work. And it's not just looking at your genes, it's looking at your clinical records, your lab results, medical images, all at the same time. And finally, and this is the most important part, it creates a clear, actionable report that a doctor can actually use to make a decision about your care.
And look, this isn't just theory. Don't just take my word for it. Industry leaders are already seeing this happen. Abhimanyu Verma, who's the CTO at Sophia Genetics, points out that this speed is absolutely essential for getting those rapid turnaround times that labs and drug developers need to keep up in a world where the data is just exploding.
And the impact here is felt everywhere. We're talking about accelerating the discovery of new drugs, enhancing how we diagnose diseases, making it earlier and more accurate,
creating truly personalized care plans, seeing things in medical images we never could before, and yeah, completely revolutionizing the very pace of medical research itself. But with all this incredible power comes a really critical question.
Which brings us to what might be the single most important piece of this whole puzzle: building trust. Because for any of this to actually work in the real world, for any doctor or patient to truly rely on it, we have to solve some major challenges. Things like privacy and bias, and making sure the AI's conclusions are 100% accurate. So let's just ask the question head on. When it comes to our health, our most sensitive data, can we really truly trust a machine? The answer can't just be, well, we hope so. It has to be proven, and that means building powerful guardrails right into the technology itself. So one of the big worries with standard AI models is that they can hallucinate. Basically, they just make stuff up. And in medicine, that's a non-starter. It's totally unacceptable. The solution is this really clever technique called retrieval augmented generation, or RAG. Now, instead of just making up an answer from its own brain, a RAG system first goes and looks up information from trusted, curated sources, like medical journals and clinical guidelines. Then it uses that information to build its answer, and it even tells you where it got the information from. It's the difference between a know-it-all who just spouts things off and a diligent researcher who shows their work.
Okay, so what about privacy? This is where a brilliant concept called federated learning comes in. Instead of gathering everyone's sensitive patient data into one giant vulnerable database, the AI model actually travels to the data. It learns inside each hospital's own secure firewall, and only the anonymous insights, the patterns it learned, not the data itself, are sent back to be combined. This lets models learn from massive, diverse datasets without ever compromising a single person's privacy. It's pretty genius.
And all of this, the hardware, the AI models, the trust and safety guardrails, it all brings us right here to the 2026 healthcare revolution. This is why this year really is that inflection point. It's the moment we finally start to shift away from a system of reactive sick care and toward one of truly proactive, personalized health.
And if you want to know if this is real, well, just follow the money. The market for AI in genomics is projected to explode from about $2.2 billion in 2026 to nearly $20 billion by 2036. That is massive. This isn't some niche little experiment. This is a fundamental, industry-wide transformation, and it's backed by some very serious investment.
So let's be really clear. What we're talking about here isn't just a simple technological upgrade. It's not just about faster computers or smarter software. This is a fundamental change in the entire paradigm. We are changing the very foundation of how we predict, how we prevent, and ultimately, how we treat human disease.
For the first time, we are truly learning to read the most complex and intimate language in the entire universe, our own genetic code. The blueprint of human health is finally being decoded right before our eyes. The only question left is, are we ready for what it's about to tell us?